Day 1, the unveiling. So all of us who have had that veil removed can see and reflect the glory of God. And the Lord, who is the Spirit, makes us more and more like Him as we are changed into His glorious image. 2 Corinthians 3, verse 18. God is in the business of setting us free, making us into the women He always wanted us to be, the women we always wanted to be. Sometimes He makes changes with the flip of a switch, but not most of the time, as you well know. Most of the time, God invites us into a process of change, a process through which, by grace, we can rise to the occasion of our lives. It's a beautiful paradox that the more of God's we become, the more ourselves we become, the self He had in mind when He thought of you before the creation of the world. She's in there. She might be badly bruised and covered with all sorts of muck, but she's in there, and Jesus comes to call her out. God is unveiling who we truly are. All those veils of shame and sin and the false self, all those veils others have put upon us, thinking they know who we ought to be, God takes them all away so that with unveiled faces we might reflect His glory. The process often feels slow, interminable even, but lasting change takes time. Anyone can muscle through a day. New Year's resolutions may even last a few months. But God is a God of process, and He has His eye on eternity. His plans for us aren't for a quick fix, but an eternal transformation. Slowly, carefully, intentionally, the unveiling is taking place. Jesus, give me a glimpse of who You are calling me to be today. Help me see the unveiling happening in my life, even now. I want to see myself as You see me. Day 2. What God has promised. For God knew His people in advance, and He chose them to become like His Son, so that His Son would be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters. Romans 8, verse 29. Does anybody ever really change? I believe they do. I've seen it happen. The Scriptures promise it can happen. It's happening in me. God has come for me, and He continues to come for me. He has healed me, and He continues to heal me. He has saved me, and He is saving me still, crafting His beauty and presence more deeply into my soul. I Am has taken up residence, and His very presence is changing me. He who is utterly Himself is enabling me to become myself, the self He had in mind when He made me. Sure, I still tend to replay conversations I've had with others in my head, looking for my mistakes, but I linger in self-contempt less these days. Yes, I still reach for carbohydrates when the only thing hungry is my soul, but I do it less often. I'm growing in knowing that I am completely loved in this moment, and that God isn't waiting for me to get my act together in order to become worthy of His affection. I have only and ever been lovely to God, and so have you. In the steady face of His love, I am changing. I am becoming myself. I know you have tried to change and hoped for change in the past. Today, God is inviting you to hope again, by faith. We can't heal ourselves or free ourselves or save ourselves. We cannot become ourselves all by ourselves. But we are not by ourselves. We are seen and known and strengthened and urged on to the life we were created for by the King of love. He wants to help us to become. He wants to help us change and grow. We can't do it, but He can. He's very, very good at it. It is, in fact, what He has promised to do. I choose to believe today that God's presence in me is changing me. I can't change myself, but He can and will help me change and grow.